Before this episode begins, I must issue the most solemn warning. This episode contains extremely disturbing details of a real-life violent crime. When this case unfolded online in 2020, it sparked a nationwide obsession with solving the mystery. Its twists and truth were so bizarre that many thought it belonged in a work of magical realism. It combines horror and supernatural elements all in one, and was captured by the modern internet. If you choose to continue, do so with respect for the victim, and view the truth and lessons behind this case with rationality. July 5, 2020, at the Sanbo Residential Complex in Hangzhou. Printed missing person notices were taped to the community bulletin boards, unit entrances, and elevator doors. The information was sparse. A 53-year-old woman named Mrs. Lei, approximately 5 feet and 2 inches and slender, had vanished from her home in the early hours of July 4th. When she went missing, she was wearing only a brown camisole nightgown and black slippers. No phone, ID, or wallet. At first, the notices barely registered. Neighbors chatted privately, mostly dismissing it as a trivial matter. She probably had a fight with her family and went out to cool off. Or maybe she visited relatives and forgot to tell anyone. After all, Lai seemed like a gentle woman who lived with her husband, Mr. Su, and their 12-year-old daughter. To everyone, it looked like a normal family life. The turning point came on July 6th. Leah's eldest daughter from a previous marriage hadn't heard from her mother in days, and couldn't reach her. So she reported the disappearance to the police. When officers stepped in, their first move was to review the complex's surveillance footage. Sanbo Baiyuan was an older community. Its facilities weren't state-of-the-art, but its security cameras were widespread. After watching dozens of hours of footage straight, officers uncovered a terrifying fact. The last time Lei appeared on camera was at 5:04 p.m. on July 4th. When she returned home from grocery shopping, took the elevator to her 5th-floor apartment, and never showed up in any surveillance feed again. Which can only mean one thing: she might still be inside the apartment complex. Questions emerged. How does a fully grown woman wearing only night clothes, with no ID or phone, vanish into thin air in a complex covered in cameras? As word of the police's initial findings spread through neighborhood WeChat groups and local forums, it detonated across Chinese social media like a boulder dropped into a calm lake. On platforms like Weibo, Jihu, and Douyin, the hashtag Hangzhou woman mysteriously disappears skyrocketed to trending topics, racking up over 1 billion views in a single day. Countless netizens became amateur detectives, debating fiercely in comment sections. Some even created floor plans of the complex, marking camera locations to simulate Lei's possible movements. From the flood of speculation, 3 main theories emerged. A. Marital strife and voluntary absence. Netizens claimed Lai was unhappy in her marriage and had left to get back at her husband. They dug up her social media accounts, pointing out that she occasionally shared articles about managing relationships. B. Secret lover in the complex. Some argued Lai had a lover in the same building and had stayed with him to avoid exposure. She'd only worn night clothes, meaning she'd gone somewhere nearby, possibly even the same unit. If she'd planned to leave long-term, they reasoned, she would have changed clothes or taken belongings. C. Perhaps the reason this case first exploded on the internet was the eerie, unsettling air of something supernatural, a chilling, sinister presence that seemed to hang over it. What made the supernatural theory gain traction, at least for a while, was the sheer lack of footage. No cameras had captured Lei entering or exiting. It was as if she'd evaporated. Then there was Mr. Su, Lei's anxious husband. To neighbors and reporters alike, he seemed like a caring, family-oriented husband. Online debate soon hit a wall. How could Lei have vanished without being caught on camera leaving the building? Rational netizens focused on a key question: surveillance blind spots. If Leah wasn't on camera, could she have used unmonitored areas to escape? Some proposed she'd snuck through the underground garage, maybe via ventilation ducts or fire exits, and left in a car. To test this, a Sanbo resident filmed the garage and posted the video online. It showed cameras at every entrance, exit, more at corridor corners, and even overlapping coverage along the only route from the elevators to the garage. There were almost no completely blind spots. The property management also confirmed, "Our cameras run 24/7, no malfunctions. No signs of tampering or obstruction." Most crucially, police checked all vehicle logs from July 4th night to July 5th morning. Every car entering or exiting had been recorded, and no suspicious vehicles had left with passengers. The garage escape theory was completely shut down. At this point, the only concrete clues were two things: the last surveillance clip of Leah and Sue's interview footage. It seems like she vanished into the thin air with no trace. As public attention grew, netizens re-watched Sue's answers and noticed something odd.
我女儿怎么办？我的生活怎么办？啊，我老婆什么时候回来到底？是我都不知道，现在变成。一个人他出不去的，按他的智商，老实说，我这么多年了，在跟他做夫妻了，对他了解，他是出不去的，就是。
During a Zhejiang TV interview, Sue's answer stunned netizens. She definitely didn't go out alone. With her intelligence, she couldn't have left by herself. The certainty in his voice, "definitely, couldn't have left," sounded nothing like a husband waiting for his wife. It felt like he was guiding the public to believe Lei was taken by someone else. Even stranger, Shu kept mentioning, "What will my daughter do?" or "How will we live?" but rarely spoke about fearing for Leah's safety. When the reporter asked if he worried she was in danger, he only said flatly, "I hope she's safe," with no fear in his eyes. After the interview spread online, even those who'd believed the supernatural theory hesitated. Is he too calm? It's like he lost a trivial item, not his wife. That line, "With her intelligence, she couldn't have left alone," sounds like a hint. Others pushed back. People react differently to crisis. Some stay calm when stressed. You can't judge someone by their emotions. Just as the internet was stuck in a dead end, with everyone staring at complex maps and surveillance screenshots, desperate for answers, a single unnoticeable comment on Weibo changed everything. Posted on July 10th by a netizen named @HeavyRain, it read, "Has the police checked their water usage? If someone didn't leave home but used a lot of water, that might be a problem." At first, the comment only got a few dozen likes, quickly buried under thousands of others. But by chance, an officer on the case saw it while scrolling through online leads. Police had already flagged Shu as a person of interest. But they lacked direct evidence, and they still didn't know La's fate. Was she alive, hidden somewhere, or dead? If dead, where was her body? Officers immediately contacted the property management and water company to get Lei's July 2020 water records. The result made everyone's blood run cold. On July 4th, Leah's household had used 4,000 pounds of water. To put that in perspective, a typical family of 3 uses 400 to 600 pounds of water a day. Even in summer, with frequent showers and laundry, it rarely exceeds 1,000 pounds. 4,000 pounds is enough to fill 10 large bathtubs. Such an abnormal spike could only mean one thing: a dark secret was being covered up. Police immediately focused their investigation on Lei's apartment and the complex's sewage system. They searched Leah's home for a second time. During the first search, without a clear lead, they'd only checked closets, under beds, and the balcony. This time, they targeted areas that used large amounts of water, the bathroom and kitchen. They used luminol to test floors and walls for cleaned up blood, used specialized equipment to check drains and pipes for human tissue, and even tore up bathroom tiles and kitchen cabinet panels, leaving no stone unturned. But after a full day of searching, they found no direct evidence. Had they gone down the wrong path? The officers refused to give up. They asked themselves, where does all that wastewater go? The answer: the complex's septic tanks. The apartment complex had several septic tanks, one near almost every building. The closest to Leah's unit was a 50 cubic meter tank, rarely cleaned, filled with sludge and waste. On the afternoon of July 22nd, Hangzhou sweltered under 100 degrees Fahrenheit heat, with surface temperatures topping 104 degrees Fahrenheit. The task force deployed over 20 officers and 8 sanitation trucks to pump out the tank. To protect evidence, officers wore full-body hazmat suits and gas masks. Under the scorching sun, they scooped sludge from the tank into trucks, one spoonful at a time. Every full truck was rushed to a designated site, where experts hosed down the waste with high-pressure water, sifted through it, and collected any suspicious debris to send to a lab for testing. The operation lasted 25 hours straight. The officers knew this tank might hold the truth about Lai's disappearance and the key to giving her family closure. At 4 p.m. on July 23rd, the lab called with DNA results. The relief the officers felt was quickly replaced by heaviness. The suspected human tissue found in the sludge matched Mrs. Leah's DNA perfectly. This confirmed beyond doubt that Lai was dead and her husband, Mr. Su, was the only suspect. At 1 a.m. on July 23rd, police arrested Su at his home and placed him under criminal detention. At first he lied, insisting he had no idea where Lai was, and even asked officers, "Did you make a mistake?" But when police presented the evidence, the water usage records, the DNA report from the septic tank, and footage of his unusual movements like repeatedly entering the bathroom on July 4th night while avoiding the home's internal camera, Su's resolve crumbled. He finally confessed to murdering Leah, dismembering her body, and disposing of the remains. With Su's confession, the dark truth behind the mysterious disappearance was laid bare. Su's crime was premeditated and unspeakably cruel. On the night of July 4th, 2020, he'd slipped a large dose of sleeping pills into the milk Leah drank before bed. Once she was unconscious, he taped her mouth and nose shut, then suffocated her by pressing a pillow over her face until she stopped breathing. He then dragged her body to the bathroom, where he dismembered it with tools he'd prepared in advance, some of which police later found in the complex's trash bins. To destroy evidence, he rinsed away blood and remains with massive amounts of water, explaining the 4,000-pound spike in water usage on July 4th. After dismembering the body, Su packed the pieces into plastic bags. Under the cover of night, when the complex was quiet, he snuck out multiple times to dispose of them, some in the septic tank, others mixed with household garbage and thrown into dumpsters outside the complex. He hoped this would erase all traces. What's more chilling, after the crime, Su carefully cleaned the apartment, discarded the tools, and then went about his life as usual, buying groceries, giving interviews, even playing the role of loving father to his daughter. No one suspected a thing. And through it all, their 12-year-old daughter was in the house. She was there that terrible night. Even when the media still thought Lai was missing, the daughter didn't tell the truth in any interviews. Our hearts break for her, but we also know she stayed silent because Su had threatened her. We can only hope she finds peace and safety in the years ahead. But there's another critical question. What turned a seemingly normal family into this? Why did Su do it? What was his motive? And how could he stay so calm in front of the media? Su and Lai weren't married for the first time. They'd been lovers in their youth, but had married other people and had children separately. Years later, they reconnected and married in 2008. Their daughter was born in 2018. To outsiders, they were a reunited couple living happily, but their marriage was rotting from the inside, eaten away by financial and family conflicts. The core issue was real estate. In 2019, their village was demolished, and they received 2 apartments from the government as compensation. A 592 square feet unit where they lived with their daughter, and a 1184 square feet, one that was under renovation. Su had an adult son from his first marriage, who was engaged and needed a wedding home. Su repeatedly asked Lai to transfer the 110 square meter apartment to his son, but Lai refused. She had legal ownership to both apartments. She also argued that their 12-year-old daughter needed the property for her future. She couldn't just give it away. The couple fought constantly over this, even sleeping in separate rooms. Leah's eldest daughter later said in an interview, "My mom complained to me that Su kept bringing up the apartment. He even told her, if you don't give it to me, you'll regret it." Su's financial situation only made things worse. He had no stable job, surviving on stock trading, and he was terrible at it. He'd lost all his savings and owed money to relatives and friends. When he couldn't afford to renovate the 1184 square feet apartment, he took out a loan. Lai, angry about his stock losses, refused to help repay it, deepening Su's resentment. To make matters worse, they clashed over their daughter's education. The girl had always been a good student, but in early 2020, her grades dropped sharply, even failing some classes. Lai blamed Su. He's always on his phone at home, never caring about her studies. She banned him from helping with homework or being involved in her education. Shu felt excluded from the family, and with financial stress and the real estate fight piling on, his anger festered until he decided to get rid of Leah and take the property for himself. On May 14, 2021, the Hangzhou Intermediate People's Court began hearing the case. In court, Shu changed his story. He recanted his confession, claiming the murder was a heat-of-the-moment crime caused by family conflicts, not premeditated. He even requested a psychiatric evaluation, hoping to reduce his sentence. But prosecutors presented overwhelming evidence. Sue had bought sleeping pills and knives multiple times before the crime. He'd studied the complex's surveillance cameras and blind spots in advance. And he'd deliberately staged Lei's disappearance. All proof that this was a planned, intentional murder. The court ruled, Mr. Tsu had intentionally deprived another person of life, committing the crime of intentional homicide. His methods were extremely cruel, the circumstances outrageous, and the social harm enormous. He had not obtained the victim's family's forgiveness. And while he had confessed, this did not merit a lighter sentence. On July 26, 2021, the Hangzhou Intermediate People's Court delivered its verdict. Zhu was sentenced to death, deprived of political rights for life. This case captured the nation's attention not just for its cruel details, but also for one unique factor: the role of the internet in the investigation. From netizens' initial theories, to the critical check water usage suggestion, to analyzing Sue's interview behavior, the internet became a crowdsourced investigation platform. This case became a positive demonstration of how the police can cooperate with the internet, allowing the public to delve into the details of solving the case. However, it went viral online because it was initially a missing person case. Missing person cases are highly likely to be made public online, solely to enable netizens to provide clues or witness accounts that hold key evidence. If the case had been classified as a murder case from the start, its full details might not have been released, and the police might never have thought to check the water usage. Despite all the positive aspects of using the internet community to assist in solving the case, there are still downsides. For instance, during the investigation, some self-media outlets fabricated false information such as Ms. Lei's dismembered body was fed to dogs, and Mr. Zhu had multiple mistresses just to gain more views. Some live streamers went to the entrance of Sanbo Baiyuan residential complex to broadcast live, shouting "Where is the killer?" at the residential buildings, which seriously disrupted the residents' normal lives. Additionally, some people exploited the case to promote feudal superstitions, claiming that they could calculate the location of the body through birth charts. And some even used this to sell so-called anti-harm life insurance. These actions not only exploited the victim, but also interfered with the police's normal investigation, drawing criticism from all sectors of society.
Please hit the like button and subscribe to channel. We are the Jade Archive. We love you and see you in the next video.